A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified T-COLE credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. Man, how you doing, Sam?
Doing great. We are powered by the OBBM network, and I'll just say 'tis the season. We have just we talked about it last week, getting off an amazing workshop that we did, and working with first responders from all different backgrounds, whether it was dispatch to a police officer, and this is a tough time. This is a tough time of year. I want to give a shout out to Mesquite Police Department. The unfortunate anniversary of Officer Houston's murder, his passing. It was when he passed away. He was on the force for 21 years, and it had been quite a number of years since they had lost an officer. And we were there, John. We worked with a dispatch, with a workshop specifically, and so that happened last week, and got to talk to a few officers in Mesquite over the weekend that I happened to run into. So we're thinking about you guys, and wanted to let you know that.
You know, our law enforcement and all our first responders throughout this holiday season, not only the mental drain of the job, it's the mental drain of being away from their family and their loved ones because of short staffing, because of, forced overtime that they have to work. And, when you can't be with your family as a regular civilian just because, maybe you're miles away or something, or you just can't get to them, it is a stressful feeling inside you, because you're like, oh, I can't be with my loved ones for the holidays. And all first responders battle that each and every day during this season. So remember them, this is why we remember them throughout the year, because when it comes down to times like this, man, you really got to hold them near and dear into your heart.
Yeah, and you have to carve out almost time to be together as a family unit. And our guest tonight, well, they do just that at a place called Wind River Ranch. And
you said it right, Wind River Ranch.
Yeah, if you're watching or listening, go ahead. You can start trying to say that very quickly. We practice.
It's a tongue twister.
Bring on Vanessa O'Neill with Wind River Ranch. Vanessa, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast.
Hi,
hey, Vanessa. How are you?
So much. I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you
you're
for
so
what
welcome.
You do.
Yeah, thank you for what you do. So tell everybody about a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Wind River Ranch.
Absolutely. Well done. Guys, we practiced this.
I saw it in Sam's face. She was like, I'm not going to screw this up. Wind River Ranch.
Focus. Well, I actually came on seasonal staff 16 years ago. And so I was here from 2007 until 2013, serving in the summertime and the fall. Just came on 2 years ago full time as the Healing Warrior Program Coordinator, Staff Manager, and Volunteer Coordinator here at Wind River Ranch. But we began our Healing Warrior Program in 2013. So all of those years I came back and volunteered alongside my dad and a few other faithful volunteers with our Healing Warrior Program.
And how did you get drawn into wanting to be a volunteer at the ranch and now part of the staff?
For me, I this is honest. I was Googling, I was daydreaming about wanting to learn to ride horses, and I Googled Dude Ranch, and then I Googled Christian Dude Ranch, and Wind River Ranch was the one that popped up. And for me, there's a whole God's story behind it, actually. It was really God's leading, and it's really changed my life personally, as well as my family's life and the lives of many of my friends as well.
You know, when you can make an impact on somebody else's life, as the ranch does, and you know, as I said, the ranch does, the Wind
The
River
ranch.
Ranch.
Yeah. We can just
I
shorten
am
it to
not,
the
I am
ranch.
not that great at speaking, but when you can make an impact as what you guys do each and every day for our first responders and our military veterans, man, that is something that you know fills you up. It gives you, you know, that reason and that purpose. You found your why, and so many of our heroes have lost their why within their careers, and you guys help them really find their place back. So God bless you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, you mind if I go into who the ranch
Yeah,
is?
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a 501c3 Christian family guest ranch in Estes Park, Colorado, just outside Rocky Mountain National Park, right across from Long's Peak, which is one of the most famous
Must be
14.
beautiful to wake up to.
It's stunning. It's a little brutal in the
Oh,
wintertime, but it is stunning to look at.
yeah.
But yeah, so it's an all-inclusive, resort vacation. I would say it's so much more than a vacation. So I actually hate using that word. But 5 night, 6 night, or 4 night for our couples getaways, just to create space for families to get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life and rest and reconnect with themselves and with God and with one another and with their families, but also with one another. We can serve about 15 families at a time. And especially with our Healing Warrior Weeks, which I'll get into in a second, what they find is there's a brotherhood or sisterhood that happens around the fire pit between families that is really like no other.
Let me ask something, Vanessa. You know, when me and Sam deal with a lot of our first responders, and you touched on a thing that really a lot of people don't touch on is that couple reconnection, right? And that family bonding. We look at it as when we look at first responders, and they'll always tell us, "I'm lost, I'm battling, and this and the other thing." They get into our workshops, and they find out that you know what, they're not alone. That the person next to him is having those same exact battles. The person across from him is feeling that same way. Do you feel with couples that when they get around that campfire, they get to share and they're like, "Wow, we feel that. This is not just exclusive to us. This happens to everybody." So it's something that we can work through.
Every time. Every single time it happens. And we have some major breakthroughs. You know, I was just thinking of some stories from last year, even when different families were able to, couples were able to publicly even apologize and publicly forgive. And,
Wow.
they tell of, they were finally able to share something with their wife, which then brought so much understanding, right, to their spouse. That was like, oh, that makes sense. You saw this. This is why you're acting like this. And there had just been this barrier for so long. And we find that not just with couples, but also, with the children for our family weeks, right? So the children can actually relate on a level that is, again, unlike no other. They understand parents are gone in service to community or to country for, very often or for months at a time, depending on our Healing Warrior Weeks are often first responders and military veterans mixed together. And often they're twofers, right? So they served in the military and then come back and go into law enforcement. And we just find that the spouses just gravitate towards one another in the same way, like you said, we're not alone. You actually understand. And I just thought it was just me or just our family, or, the kids feel that way, like nobody understands. And, our programs actually, I'll explain this a smidgy bit, but we have adult Bible studies and then teens and tweens and kids. They all have their various programs that are happening simultaneously. And so they're all getting to bond together in their own little age groups. And at the same time, we create so many opportunities for them to build memories as a family, like family Olympics or square dance or kids rodeo. And, they say that joy and like laughter actually really brings so much connection. We find that a lot here at the ranch. There's a lot of tears, but there's also so much laughter.
Well, that's good though.
Well.
Tears are good.
Tears are good. Tears are from the breakthroughs, right? And that's important. Yes. I think let's hear from some of the stories you said some people have shared right after we come back from our first break. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical Bill of Rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam, with our lovely guest Vanessa O'Neill with Wind River Ranch. See, you say it slow, it comes out really good. It flows.
Everybody's trying this at home.
Before we took the break, we were talking about the faith base of the ranch and how it brings families back together, how it repurposes our why, our veterans and our first responders, and it gives it. I want to use the word uplifting. It gives everybody an uplifting experience. But what came to mind as we just ended, I was going to ask you before we broke, is faith is a big thing when it comes to healing. And a lot of people are when they hear faith, they get scared because they lost it. They and they're afraid to get it back. They don't know which way to turn or how to re-enter it into their bodies. So you're providing that, which is amazing. How many people that have come there have lost faith, and then turn around and go, wow, I needed that.
Many. In fact, I'm trying not to cry right now. We even have many that never had any kind of faith. And as soon as they drive through the gate onto our property, oftentimes they feel something that they can't describe, which I would say is peace and the presence of our Creator, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes they'll just cry, and they're like, "Why am I crying? What is happening?" We see that a lot, and I think even just for them to get to the place of feeling safe, that creates space then for them to interact with God. And again, talking through it with different people of like, how did you reconcile? A lot of your listeners have seen things that no human being should ever have to see, right? And that's really hard to reconcile with God. But we like to provide a space where you can do your business with God, right? Our goal and our staff's goal is to take care of all the details and have your back and take care of your needs in every way, so that the real business that needs to be done and the healing that needs to be received can actually happen.
And what does that look like for those that are already like, hey, this might be for us. I'm already connecting. What does it look like with the Healing Warriors program? How many families, first responders and veterans, do you have at one time? And just take us through the taking care of part.
Mm-hmm. So our scholarships for Healing Warriors they cover everything. So all Healing Warriors have to do is get themselves here to the ranch. Once they get here, all food, like all incredible meals. I mean, gourmet meals, all activities, their housing, everything is completely covered and taken care of. And also we have, we hire about 35 seasonal staff that their goal is to represent Christ and serve with excellence and love. And so in every way, they're all over the ranch taking care of every detail. We have volunteers that come out that have first responder or military backgrounds that are here even to just, keep an eye out in the ways that help those that are dealing with just hypervigilance settle in a little bit. Somebody's paying attention. And, we talk about like when people drive on property during all of our Healing Warrior weeks, nobody misses it, right? Everybody pays attention. They know someone's here. And we just want them to know we've got people paying attention to all of that. So you're safe.
Well, being in Colorado, and you said like when people pull in, right? A lot of first responders, a lot of families, everybody. We all get self-absorbed into our daily routines, right? No matter if it's just a regular civilian or Army veteran or military veteran or first responder, we see the worst in everything, right? When you're pulling into your driveway, when you're pulling up to that ranch, and just looking at some of the pictures on the website, they're stunning, right? You see what God created. You see those majestic mountains. You see the wildlife. You see nature. And a lot of these guys who've been overseas, who've never really experienced something like this, or working in the ghettos, if you of inner cities, right, where all they see is destruction and something bad and burnt out buildings. When they come here, it brings them back to, wow, this is what life is all about, and it's those things we miss. You'll see them, but our brains don't commute because of the hypervigilant. We don't see these things, and we don't appreciate them. We lose the appreciation for that beauty that you guys are providing.
Well, and I would say the beauty of humanity as well.
Yeah.
Just chatting with some of our first responders, especially, because it's just day to day to day to day to day. And it's funny, I wrote down this quote because, we had a law enforcement officer say, my job sucks. We live in a world of darkness. And he said, I live a very guarded life. I always assume the worst. And by day 2, I trusted the staff and I trusted the other guests. And what we find is that it usually takes, it takes 1 or 2 days, right?
Yeah.
For everybody to kind of get their bearings. And then it's incredible actually what God can do in a very, very short amount of time. And I'm using a lot of God language because we are believers here.
Yeah.
But I do want to take a minute to say, like, you don't have to be a Christian to come to the ranch. We really want to serve all, and our Bible studies, everything is optional. And so if you just needed a safe place to come and be, we would welcome that, so I just want to make sure that that's clear as well.
Sure.
You said you were about to cry with those words that you just spoke about what that officer said is really tearing me up. It's because nobody should wake up in the morning thinking they live in a life of darkness, right? And for that man or that individual to feel that, how do you move on? How do how does a person wake up every morning going, I'm living in darkness, you have no worth? I mean, that is such life. Life is a beautiful thing, right? And it's we should cherish and bless each moment we're awake, right? For him to feel that way is heartbreaking, but to see the end result on what you guys can do to get him out of that darkness and bring him back into the light, that is something of God's will. Believe me, that's God looking down at you guys saying, hey, I cut you from a certain cloth. This is what you're going to provide. And you guys, that's great. That's got to be just a tip of the iceberg on some of the stories that you hear. What are some of those things that can you share any of those?
I can. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'll say in general, and then I'll share a few specifics. Multiple couples have come with divorce papers already written out, and I would say God saved their marriage. And again, in 4 days.
He's a good attorney.
Unbelievable. So that has happened multiple times. We've had many first responders and military veterans sleep through the night for the first time in a very, very long time. I just don't take that lightly, right? Because your sleep is so attacked after you've seen some of the things you've seen, right? And we have, I'm just thinking of, I've got a few little things here, but I remember last year, one of the wives said, Vanessa, this is the first time my kids have seen their dad laugh since he came back from war. The first time. And I remember the moment, like it's seared in my mind. It was during the Family Olympics and we were doing an egg toss. And I mean, yeah, you just, those moments you cannot erase. And they do begin to, I would say, melt some of the coldness that has set in, right? We had one guy come who married with 2 children. His goal was to come, get his family settled in, drive off property, and end his life. And we had no idea until a year later when he actually came back and said, just so you guys know, this was my plan, and I want you to know that this place saves lives. Wow. And I can think of another story that I just have written down here.
I got the chills.
Powerful.
Yeah.
It is powerful. I think we got to take another quick break, but I think
I want to hear that next story when we come back.
Yeah, what Vanessa is hitting on is, look, part of the human condition is that we all struggle with something, right? And as first responders and veterans, we do see things that most normal people will never see, and they just can't handle it. And that's what John is, we're cut from a different cloth, but we're never told to, included in that, to shove it down. It's just the culture that we're in. We're getting better at it, but it's really the quality in which, if you're going to struggle in some way, shape, or form, it's how you choose to struggle, and bringing things like your family and the ranch into your circle, or whatever healing modality or stress relieving modality that you have. You don't have to struggle and be in the darkness, because that hit me a lot too. Learn from the darkness, really. So we got to take our first break. We'll be right back.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Vanessa O'Neill with Wind River Ranch and the Healing Warriors program. Before we left for the last break, we were discussing some of the things, and you guys are actually, I'm looking at your website. So Wind River Ranch is actually turning on the light and getting our heroes and those who are battling out of the darkness through many of your programs. And you're sharing stories, and some hold near and dear to your heart. That last one, saving that man's life because he had a plan. When you share that story, right? And I'm sure when people go home, you share these stories amongst the staff and you discuss it, going, how impactful was it? That's got to say, after 7 days, and then watching families go from the dark to the light, how does that make you guys feel and the staff? It makes you want to go back to work and just do more of this work, right?
100%. We serve so many, we have a lot of paying guests throughout the season, and we have a couple of private weeks that are just famous and all the things, but these weeks are by far always our favorite. Don't tell the
Yeah,
others.
that.
But it's just for us, it's such an honor to be able to, in some way, say thank you. Like none of us would be living this life in freedom and feeling safe without all that your listeners do. And for us, it's just our highest honor to be able to say thank you and to be able to serve you and your families, right? Because it's the whole family. It's not just
Yeah.
the one who's in law enforcement or the military. It is the spouse, it's the children. It's a sacrifice for all. And for us, it's such a gift. We're really honored.
Now, Vanessa, before we came live tonight, you had said that, one of the hardest things for first responders and veterans is like to click that, register button, because they feel like, oh, I'm not as bad off as somebody else. Let them have my spot. What would you say to any first responder or veteran that's listening about, I mean, gosh, if you haven't by now understood the Healing Warriors program, and that's there for you, what would you say to that first responder, that veteran that wants to give their seat to somebody else or their house?
Well, first I would say, ask your family, ask your spouse or your children if this would be something they would be interested in. I guarantee they would say yes. And then two, I would say, sometimes if you qualify, you're the person that we want to serve. We want to serve you. And if we have to sneak around and get it to this way. So here's something that I tell people sometimes, that, a lot of your listeners, for example, will come because they trust you. They don't know me from Adam. Right. And when couples come, when families come, they can tell other families who trust them and know them. So for you, if you want influence with those that when you think of this person that you think really should come, it would be more beneficial actually for you to come, and then you can vet it and tell them, okay, you should actually go. You have much more influence once you've been here. But I would say almost every single Healing Warrior applicant, their first response is what you just said. And so I would say, please apply anyway. And I guarantee.
So you have an application process.
We do.
How does somebody get started?
Mm-hmm. So they go to our website, which I'll say, and I can say it at the end as well, which is www.windriverranch.com. Correct. And then you can click on Healing Warriors. When you do that, there's an application there. It's a very short application. If you have military background, you upload your DD-214, and if applicable, your VA disability rating as well. First responders, it's years of service, and then a letter from a professional reference, just letting us know who you are, where you've served, why should our scholarship scholarship, and then how would a week at Wind River Ranch benefit you and your family? What have you been through? What do you need? What are you hoping for? Our scholarship committee just wants to get to know who you are. And, we say that it is for first responders with 10 plus years of service and injured military veterans. And we are very loose with all of those things. So again, if you've been in law enforcement for 5 years and have walked through just unbelievable things, which is probably many, please apply anyway. Tell us your story.
Vanessa, let me ask something. I just want to put the script on that for a second.
Yeah, it could be John.
It
could be one year of service with from the workshops that we've done, John. We've seen, if it's an officer involved shooting, where you've got moral injury and lots of other things involved. So just even though it says 10, Vanessa is saying, get your butt there. Get your butt there.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying that a lot of first responders are failing it, or they want to give their spots over. But you know what? We also have a lot of spouses that watch this show. Now, could a spouse sign up their spouse saying, hey, my husband, my wife has been battling since this thing. So you don't have to be the first responder or the military veteran. You could be the loved one or the spouse, correct?
Absolutely. If you can obtain the couple things that we need, like those few documents,
Right.
yes. And we're also aware sometimes that's a bit of an interesting to get a professional reference. Sometimes first law enforcement officers don't want to talk to their superior about that. And so there are ways that we can work around that. So even then, I would say, please reach out and we can find a way. We just need to know you are who you say you are, and you've been serving for this long, and yada yada yada. So yeah, we have many spouses that apply on behalf.
Uploading IDs is a good thing to verify.
Yeah.
That helps.
Now steal it out of the wallet.
Exactly.
Can I see your ID for a second? Let me see what it looked like.
That actually, Sam, when you mentioned that, an officer involved shooting, for example, it made me think of a story last year, not this past season, 2022. We actually had some healing warriors that had been out years ago. So we started our program in 2013. And so they'd been out years ago, and they had a really bad officer involved shooting, where, no need for details, but it was just terrible. And 2 or 3 of the fellow officers that knew about us reached out separate of each other. No one had even talked to each other, reached out to us, and they were like, listen, can you get these 2 guys in? They've just been through something horrific. Is there anything that you can do? And we were able to actually get them and their spouses in within 2 weeks of this event. Very, very fresh. And they were able to process a lot out by the fire pit. But then just this last year, we had one of them back. We actually, again, our scholarship committee, we've got our boundaries, and we also pray a lot. And God brought to mind these 2 guys again. And so we reached out to them to say, hey, it's been a year. We'd love to have you back. And it was pretty incredible. Only one of them was able to come back, and just to see what God had done and what God was doing in each portion of the grief journey. Right.
Wow. That is really powerful. For those of you who are just tuning in, we are talking to Vanessa O'Neill with the Healing Warriors program, which is held at the Wind River Ranch in Colorado. We got to take our next break. We will be right back.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Vanessa O'Neill with Healing Warrior program over at Wind River Ranch in the beautiful state of Colorado. Before we left, we were talking about different modalities. We're talking about different healing prospects that came to the ranch and maybe returned. Me and Sam bring up a thing in our workshop, and which is beneficial. It's when you talked about they wanted to give their seat to another because they didn't feel deserving, right? Trauma has no what's the word I'm looking for, Sam?
You can't compare trauma and what happens to you after that. We know it's normal to have a reaction to it, but beyond that, everybody's different.
Trauma has no value is what I'm trying to say. What affects me may not affect somebody else. And I may see 2 drops of blood on the floor and flip out. Somebody may see somebody get a hand caught in the door, flip out, as much as somebody who is in battle in Iraq. So it impacts each individual differently. So never think your trauma is in like small, because it affects you. If it affects your mental health, then that trauma is huge. It's weighing. It's a weight, on your shoulders. So when you look at yourself and you say, "I'm not worthy," you are worthy. You are worthy. Everybody is worthy of healing, right? Never deny yourself that healing process, and never look at somebody and say, my trauma is worse than yours, or your trauma is worse than mine, or it's all the same when it comes down to how much weight we bear. If I hold a 10-pound weight and you hold a 10-pound weight, guess what? That's 10 pounds of weight.
10 pounds.
Same thing. Same thing. Doesn't matter if you're jacked up or if you're a skinny guy. You're still holding 10 pounds of weight.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wanted to ask because this is a program that's designed around the family unit. In terms of the kiddos, is there a certain age that you limit it to?
Up to 18. So it's 18 and under.
So what about the little ones?
Yes. So we have our kids club, which is 0 to 7. And then we've got the
okay.
tweens, which is 8 to 12, and then teens, which is 13 to 18. And then the rest are considered adults.
Let's talk about the children for a second.
Sure.
Because when you talk about that campfire, I'm thinking moms and other spouses out there who take care of their kids on a daily basis go, "Oh, my kid's acting out. Dad's always at work, and my kid's acting out. He's not doing well in school." And another mother or spouse is turning around, "Well, my kid's going through the same thing." And sometimes you push it off to the age of that child. We say, "Well, it's the age," but maybe it's not. Maybe it's something a little deeper than that. Maybe it's because dad has missed or mom has missed the last 5 Christmases and wasn't able to open up presents, right? And then you find out these children are battling that same secondary trauma as the spouse is. How do the children react? And what's their, have anyone come out and said, "Man, this was a great experience," or "I feel better about it"? Have you heard any stories from the children?
Yes, actually, I wish I had this with me right now, but actually, I do. I'd love to read this. I mean, this is so interesting. And actually, I was just thinking of another story. Let me tell this story, and then I'm going to read this story.
Okay.
But we had a kid stand up, his dad, firefighter, and sorry, I'm trying not to give too many details, but a firefighter, and gone a lot. And he stood up, his son stood up sobbing and just said, I have so cherished, I can't believe it. I don't even remember. He was maybe 9 years old. "I have so cherished this time with my dad. I cannot say thank you enough." Or we had a family going through some stuff that had been here years ago. The husband and wife were in a really, really bad place. And it was their 10-year-old son that said, "Hey, let's go to Wind River. I think they can help us." And they showed up. They just showed up out of the blue.
Wow.
The dad and the son. And our volunteers who had been here faithfully for years sat with them for hours and talked them off the ledge, honestly. And, let me read this real quick. This is from one of our family Healing Warrior families. The wife says, I know it's late. I just have to email and tell you this. This morning at breakfast, we asked all the kids what their favorite part of the week was, and their son said Gaga Ball, and then proceeded to tell us that he almost started crying during worship last night. I asked him why. He's not a crier. And he said he was overwhelmed with the presence of Jesus, which he also never talks to us about. And then second, we were putting him to bed tonight, and he just told my husband that he wishes he could live at the ranch. And then he just started crying because he loved it so much. And she said, we're not ones to share in front of people, but this week changed us, and it changed our kids. We cannot thank you enough.
Amazing.
Yeah. And a lot of the kids, they feel safe to share as well. Again, we've got vetted seasonal staff members that are their entire goal is to love on that kid and to facilitate, especially with the older ones, conversation among kiddos in the same way that the adults are being, facilitated. And so you see much come out when they just feel safe to share and be open. then a lot of healing can really take place.
What's Gaga Ball? Just
I was going to say, you said something ball. I was like, what?
Listen, the tweens are obsessed with it. You're just, I don't know. I always scrape my knuckles. So you're in this little cement pit, which is terrible because it's cement and you can get injured when you're old. You just have to bend down and you're trying to bounce this little ball around and hit each other's feet. I don't know. They could do it for hours.
Oh, so if you're an adult, you have to stay bent over the whole time.
Yes, it's terrible. Yeah. And then try to stretch yourself back out after you've been down. But yeah, I'd love to share just a couple other, if we have a second. Do we have time for me to share a couple more stories?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I just was thinking, we had a semi-retired, this is an incredible story, a semi-retired cop come out at the same time. This was not planned and nobody had any idea. It took until the end of the week before they made this connection. Okay. So he had saved someone when she was in college from a kidnapping. This cop did. And over 40 years later, they happened to be here at Wind River Ranch for the same Healing Warrior Week. And they realized it. And she was able to just in person, she never got to thank him, to in person say, thank you for saving my life. This is my husband. These are my 4 children and their spouses and their children, and I'm sure it's at that point of life. Again, he's semi-retired. It's that time of life where you start to be like, does my life matter? We all think that, right? And to just meet in person someone's life who you saved and then the fruit of their life, it was just a God ordained.
That's a total God wink right there. I mean, my God. That's
for a reason.
I know.
40 years. Wow. Well, I hate to have to go to break on that, but it's suspenseful. We'll be right back, everybody.
To the Health Engineer Show. I'm Clint Bucoy, the Health Engineer, right here on the Offbeat.
Hi, I'm Larry Cordier.
Hi, my name is Susan Hamilton, and you're watching Offbeat. Hi, this is Doreen Milano. Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business, where we will talk to Terry Arjala.
My favorite coffee commercial. Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Vanessa O'Neill with Healing Warriors program out of Wind River Ranch in Colorado. Before we took that last break, we were hearing some amazing stories and connections, but this one really a 40-year reunion kind of thing with a cop who saved a college student from kidnapping. Now you think about this, that probably had, our memories, we never forget, right? We never forget. It's somewhere in our minds, somewhere tucked away, but can weigh on us, and something's going to trigger it one day. So I'm sure for the last 40 years, he was wondering what had happened to that person. Whatever became of that person. And the story that you bring up brings us back to humanity, right? And I say this in our workshops all the time. Me and Sam have a friend of ours who was a SWAT officer who decided that today was his last day to be alive, and he went to a local 7-Eleven or one of those little quickie marts, and he was going to grab a Gatorade, go to the local park, and take his own life. He had it all planned out. But somebody, as he was getting out of his car, you know how you both approach a door, 2 people approach a door, 2 strangers? Well, this stranger grabbed the door and opened the door for him. And he walked in and he said, thank you. And it changed his whole perspective on life. In that instant, that basic act of humanity that changed his whole life, and he's become an amazing person. He never took his life. He's still on this earth, right? So, I'm sure that guy never knew that he just saved someone's life. But could you imagine if those 2 ever reconnected, and he turned around and said, you just showing courtesy saved my life. That's like this officer's story. It really rebuilds faith.
Yes.
It puts back into you what you may have lost through battle, through work, through family relationships. It really builds you back up and makes you a better person.
Gives you a purpose again. Reminds you why you were meant to be a cop in the first place.
No doubt.
Right?
Yeah, or be on this earth, It reminds you why you should not leave, because your simple one act of humanity, of courtesy, could really change the trajectory of someone else's life. By a simple thank you, you're welcome, let me help with that door. These things that we've lost, if we bring those back, if we bring that back, and faith brings a lot of that back, right? No matter what faith you are, if you bring that back and you're just courteous, show some common courtesy to another human being, the value of that is enormous.
I dare say the world in which we live would be very different. And we need to remind ourselves of us. Vanessa, I want to ask the Healing Warriors program, does it run year long, or is there like a certain times of the year that it's held where the people that want to apply need what they need to know about it?
Good question. So our application is up year round. And then, each year is different. So this year for 2024, we have 2 family weeks that we're offering for Healing Warriors, 1 couples, and then 2 couples that are a little more specific to a specific platoon in the Marines, and then to a specific first responder mission, I would say. So we've got 5 Healing Warrior weeks this year. Our first week is full. And so we have 2 more. So the couples and our second family week we still have a little bit of space available.
Okay. Yeah. And if you guys are wondering, Vanessa sends me the dates via email. So you will see that. And we've mentioned it actually on the podcast before. But I send that out via email to a whole bunch of people, to our network. But we'll make sure to include it on our Facebook pages and some other places, so that maybe we're not connected on email, so that they know. Because the whole goal is, guys and gals out there, stop letting your space pass over to somebody else.
Yes.
Like John said, there's no value in trauma. You deserve the time for you, your family, you and your spouse, however it looks, to come back together. And Vanessa's right here offering it to you.
Please come. And if you apply and we're full, I want to say this as well. If you apply and we're full, we will roll you over into 2025. And so regardless, please just apply. And we can take it from there.
But don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged if if it's full, right? Keep on that healing path, and when you get to the Healing Warrior program, it will mean so much more. So if Healing Warriors is full, use some local resources, use some other avenues or different therapeutic measures to get you through that time until Healing Warriors program can bring you in. And if it is that much of an emergency, I'm sure that there are things, like you said, that you're very adaptive and very open. If it's that much of a crisis, just reach out to them and ask them, say, what else can I do? And they'll be able to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah. So what's the best way for everybody to reach you, Vanessa?
Okay, so they can call us at 970-586-4212. 970-586-4212, or we've got info, like our info email on the website, windriverranch.com. They can reach out, or you can email me directly, Vanessa, Vanessa at windriverranch.com. And a lot of times people want to vet us as well, which I totally respect. So you can look at TripAdvisor and read through hundreds of reviews from past guests as well.
Oh, that's
one of your past guests, and I'm just going to bring it up, because I know you're starting to shout it out.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Oh, are we? Oh, we can't, right?
I don't know. Are we allowed to mention why your regular, why the ranch is so full?
See, memory.
So Wind River Ranch is a ranch that is open to the public as well, beyond the Healing Warriors program. And there's a specific guest that is very, very well known. And when she showed up, posted that she was there. And from that point on, you guys hit momentum probably that you weren't expecting. Just go to the website, windriverranch.com. You can find out more. And I forgot about TripAdvisor. Yeah, you can read all about it there. What about social media where people can connect with you?
We are on Instagram and Facebook as well as Wind River Ranch. So you can check us out there.
Well, that is fantastic. Vanessa, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Thank you for talking about how you guys heal our warriors, because, you said it, you don't have to have, faith doesn't have to be something in your life to attend. The whole point is you're bringing families together to do healing work. And that is what it's all about. So I can't thank you enough for what you do, your entire staff as well. Because it takes a village. You guys got a lot going on. So all of your staff, the volunteers, their time. Thank you so much. And again, folks, if you are listening to this, it's windriverranch.com. John,
before we let it go, I just want to bring up one thing. You brought up the staff, right? And you volunteer. You started volunteering 16 years ago. If somebody in the area would like to give back and volunteer, how do they do that?
Well, so we have our summer staff, which are, that come out for the entire summer. And then we have a few vetted volunteers that we have that have returned each year. We have so many people that would like to volunteer, actually. Okay. So we have a wait list for our volunteers at the moment. But that's the beautiful part. This is another thing I love about our Healing Warriors is they're the program. Yeah, well, and the Healing Warriors, every single one of them wants to come back and give back and volunteer. It's just in your nature. And
that's amazing.
So to you two and to your listeners, I do just want to say thank you again. It takes a special person and a really huge heart to put yourselves in harm's way on behalf of someone else. Yeah. And so thank you, and thank your families, and thank your listeners as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa.
It's our
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
All right, so folks, reach out to Vanessa. I'm going to mess it up. Healing River Ranch.
You did so good.
No,
throughout the whole show,
River Ranch. You got me right here, Vanessa, in the feels. There it is. All right,
we all got in our feels at some point, right?
Yes. Thank you so much, Vanessa. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you, guys.
Right.
Take care.
Oh my gosh, hey, it happens. I think hey, that's all the vetting. If you go vet it, go sign up, get in that process right now. If you're a veteran or a first responder listening, put your application in. You deserve it. And, I just want to say every week that people tune in, they see, Carry the Load right here on the banner. And we're so blessed to be nonprofit partners with them and what they do in terms of the Continuum of Care in healing. And go, you can check out carrytheload.org, get in touch with Wind River Ranch if they're full, but you've got lots of options out there. So we want to thank Carry the Load. We've also got an upcoming workshop based upon a lot of feedback and comments that we got from this last one and the one before. So we did schedule one for the end of January, and it's really easy. Just go to abadgeofhonor.org, click on events. You can find the link there, or you can just look on our homepage. Go ahead and register right now for that workshop, which is the end of January. I think it's the 23rd. The date escapes me right now, but it's on the website. Hey, thank you for joining us week after week. Please hit the like button and please subscribe so we can get out to even more of our heroes and our warriors out there, to all of our first responders. God bless you all. We pray for you every single day. Stay in the light. If you are in darkness, use the darkness to find your light. It is there. Promise you, because we've been there and we understand. So please stay in the light. To our veterans out there, thank you for what you did for our country, for us personally. So we have the freedom to bring you a show like this and talk about whatever we want every single week. And to our active duty personnel that are serving around the world, thank you for keeping our shores safe. John, take us home.
Man, Vanessa couldn't have said it better, but everyone deserves to live a mentally healthy life, and each and every one of the first responders out here deserve the same. So I want to thank you on top of what Sam just said. I want to thank you again. You deserve it. Go get it and try to live a happy life. Peace.
Till next week, everybody. Take care.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.